David Ghantt was an ordinary man working in Charlotte, North Carolina, for Loomis Fargo Company, a business that specialized in transporting and storing money. His job was simple: drive armored trucks filled with cash, guard the vault, and make sure millions of dollars reached their destinations safely. On the outside, David looked like a reliable, hard-working employee, but inside, he was deeply unhappy. His marriage was falling apart. His paycheck was small compared to the money he carried every single day. Life felt dull, meaningless, and empty. And that emptiness slowly turned into temptation. While working at Loomis Fargo, David met Kelly Campbell, a woman who used to be his co-worker. Kelly was different. She was fun, adventurous, and she understood David's frustrations. They became close, and soon Kelly began to plant an idea in David's head. She told him about her friend, Steve Chambers, a man who had big plans and even bigger dreams of wealth. Together, Kelly and Steve whispered to David about the possibility of a new life. Why spend years hauling money for other people, when with one bold move, he could take millions for himself? At first, David resisted. He knew the risks. But the more he thought about it, the more it made sense. His life had nothing to lose. And there was Kelly, always encouraging him, always making him feel like he deserved more. Eventually, David gave in. He agreed to become part of the plan. The night of October 4, 1997, David Ghantt stayed late at the Loomis Fargo facility. Most of his co-workers had gone home. The building was quiet. Only the humming of the vault machines and the sound of his own heartbeat filled the air. He carefully unlocked the massive vault, and before his eyes lay millions of dollars stacked high. Bag after bag, he loaded the Loomis Fargo van with cash. His hands trembled, his chest tightened, but he continued. By the time he was finished, the van was packed with over $17 million in cash. It was one of the largest cash thefts in American history. David drove away into the night, meeting with Steve Chambers and Kelly Campbell. The plan was for David to take a small cut and flee to Mexico, while Steve and Kelly would keep the rest hidden until it was safe to divide. As David crossed the border and reached Mexico, he breathed a sigh of relief. For the first time in his life, he felt powerful. He felt free. But freedom didn't last long. In Mexico, David waited for his share of the money. Steve and Kelly sent him just enough to survive, but weeks passed and the rest never came. Back in North Carolina, Steve and his wife Michelle were spending money recklessly. They bought a mansion, luxury cars, and threw extravagant parties. They couldn't resist showing off their new life. Neighbors noticed. The FBI noticed. And soon, the trail led directly back to them. Agents began investigating, and it didn't take long to connect Steve, Kelly, and finally David Ghantt. In Mexico, David realized something was wrong. He called Steve many times, demanding his share. But Steve stalled, made excuses, and even talked about getting rid of David altogether. To Steve, David had become a liability, someone who knew too much. Meanwhile, the FBI built their case. They tracked the sudden lifestyle changes of Steve and Michelle Chambers, the suspicious spending, the connections to Kelly Campbell, and finally, the link to David in Mexico. In March 1998, after just 5 months on the run, David Ghantt was captured in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. When the FBI arrested him, he didn't resist. Some say he even looked relieved. The weight of betrayal and constant fear was finally lifted. Back in the United States, David stood trial. He confessed to his role in the crime and was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. Steve Chambers, the so-called mastermind, received 11 years. Kelly Campbell, who had once charmed David into the scheme, was sentenced to more than 5 years. Dozens of other accomplices who helped hide the money were also charged. Out of the $17.3 million stolen, most of it was recovered, but not all. To this day, a portion of that money remains unaccounted for, hidden somewhere, lost to time. The story of David Ghantt and the Loomis Fargo heist is remembered not as a tale of genius criminals, but as a cautionary story of greed and betrayal. David was not a mastermind. He was a simple man who let temptation guide him down a path he could never escape. He thought millions of dollars would give him freedom. Instead, it gave him prison walls. And the lesson remains clear: easy money comes with the heaviest price.